Hey everybody, come on in. Still time. You can catch the best show of the whole day.
Join me at the Jolly Heretic at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. New York, where we will discuss how we can free Britney Spears among other based things. https://tcov608088hcd https://tcov8qrb2mwog. For flip's sake, join me at the Jolly Heretic an hour hence at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. New York, where questions range from Prince Harry to the evolution of hell and everything in between. https://tcov608088hcd https://tcovxtoc0kseh. Any academic who hasn't moved outside the subject of their degree by the age of 40 can consider themselves an original midwit. Julius 77543874. Yes, but intelligent people do it even without the incentive. I shall be speaking at this online conference in Tallinn at 11:30 a.m. UK time. https://tco80flxb5jft.
The woke left are now stormtroopers of the powerful to such an extent that it is right wing to seize the wealth of the greedy and give it to the poor.
There needs to be a populist movement in this country. Let's break up the tech companies. Let's take the billions. I want to take Bill Gates' billions and give it to the poor. I want to give it to the poor. I want to strip them, completely strip them and give it to the poor. I want Jack Dorsey's money. I want Zuckerberg's money. I want to give it to the poor. I don't want to give it to the government. Oh my gosh, tax them and the government get it? No, give it to the poor. Let's take their money and give it to the poor. Let's bust up their corporations. This country would change overnight. I might run in 2024. I might run on that platform. Take the money from the rich, give it to the poor. That might be my platform in 2024.
It's a giving hood.
Yes. I'm gonna bust up the tech companies. I'm gonna take the money from the billionaires and give it to the poor. I might run in 2024 with that platform.
They are insisting that I am wrong, that you can find nice girls in churches and they are playing computer games and watching very realistic porn.
https://tcoxgydwu40h. Liberals on Twitter, I don't like what this person posted on their personal page. I'm gonna use my power of not having friends or a life to get him fired and ruin his career.
In order to be more accepting of my atheist friends, I've decided not to send thoughts and prayers in times of trouble, but hypotheses and research.
Sorry Ted, your services are no longer needed. https://tcozjqossftqa. I will say Biden has exceeded my expectations. I thought it would take him at least a year to ruin the country. To anyone using their First Amendment right to comment about how the Second Amendment was created only for muskets and pistols, get off your phone and write me a letter with quill and ink. Send it by horseback and then we can start discussing why you're wrong.
Such hatred for the middle class. Raising the minimum wage to this level does more harm than good. Our youth are the ones that will suffer and have less job opportunities. https://tcoudztdvg2ok.
Hybrid learning is not schools reopening. Students going in 2 days a week is not schools reopening. Students going in person 5 days a week is schools reopening. Stop trying to move the goalposts and muddy the waters.
Imagine if the left was as outraged with their political leaders visiting Epstein Island as they are about Ted Cruz going to Cancun with his family.
15 days to slow the spread is approaching 1 year. You give an inch, they change your life. This is exactly why you'll never give the federal government an inch on the Second Amendment. No compromise is ever enough to satisfy.
The libs are back on don't you miss having a president who worked tirelessly.
Democrats have really cozied up to the concept of walls. Where do Americans go to claim asylum from Joe Biden's policies? The so-called Equality Act is a standard Democrat tactic to perpetuate victimhood and fix a problem that doesn't exist. Why are we changing the culture of the entire country around and wrecking sports for 0.42% of the population?
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Boebert, and I want you to send me to Congress to help President Trump build the wall, drain the swamp, and stand up to all the left-wing lunatics. I'm pro-Trump, pro-Constitution, pro-guns, pro-life, pro-energy. I'm a conservative, a Republican, a mom, a business owner. I'm in this fight because freedom is a great motivator. I'm Lauren Boebert. I'm running for Congress, and I approve this message.
The Democrats are already lining up to try and take me out. They know that there is no way they'll let their radical agenda go unchecked. I'm going to need a huge war chest to keep this seat in 2022. Donate today. https://tcor1exv8s https://tcor8bbxniMSS.
The so-called Equality Act would be the most egregiously anti-Christian piece of legislation ever passed into law in America. Freedom of religion is under attack. I see why they started putting the lids back on.
The only way to spare more pain and more loss, the only way. These millstones no longer mark our national mourning. These milestones, I should say, no longer mark our national mourning.
The COVID-19 relief bill, also known as the Biden Blue State Bailout, frees up $414 billion in funding for elective abortions. A COVID-19 relief bill should not include one dime for abortion or frankly for any other issue other than COVID relief. Will the National Endowment for the Arts be helping with vaccine distribution? Will they be producing masks suddenly? If not, why are they being given $135 million in the COVID relief bill? John Cardillo, while https://tcoe6ybmrbfrb.
Coca-Cola employees, after being told to act less white, https://tcogba8arvoj0.
Coca-Cola employees before and after their diversity training. https://tcos3ts59L2gl.
Jack Pacific https://tcozysx3pqmfq. I'm switching to RC Cola.
Coca-Cola should just close up shop since it was invented by a white guy.
5 minutes after drinking Coke, https://tcOHCRPU7L62s. For his CPAC speech, Trump should walk on stage, say I am still the president, then drop the mic and walk off stage. Elijah for DRKARLYNB. Jack Pacific exclusive footage of Elijah at Coke's diversity training. https://tcoi6xxagvdrr.
Where you put the car? Where she put the car? Where she put the car?
Oh, don't shut the door. We need this door open, bro. Come on, hold the door open. Come on, keep the door open. We need this door open. We need this door open. All right, hold up. Hey, yo, bro, stop recording. Stop recording, bro. Stop recording.
Thank you to fellow Flora, Dom and Willard and Lord JR for sharing your perspective. MattGaetz is the best we've had in a long time. If you don't support MattGaetz, that's fine. You can support a loser. https://tcovhmmlyjtf7.
Florida woman is also a strong demo. Cancel culture on the march. https://tco9p0vlc5r1p.
We are with you, Tiger.
This story is jaw-dropping. We should hold hearings in the House Judiciary Committee to review how and why the FBI was gobbling up phone data from their critics.
Reopen the schools. Follow the science, not the big labor teacher union bosses.
The so-called Equality Act is evil disguised as LGBT rights. It expands governmental regulatory reach that destroys women's rights, religious rights, and rights of the unborn. It is a direct attack on God's creation. He created us male and female. https://tco2yjnepwl5. Our daughters will no longer have the right to privacy in their bathrooms, locker rooms, playing fields, and even saw pat-downs. If a male SA agent identifies as a woman, men who dress and think they are women will have rights over all all real girls and women. If you perform a mastectomy in the case of breast cancer, you will have to perform one on the teenage girl identifying as a boy, all in the name of equality. The act treats any refusal to offer abortion as pregnancy discrimination. Doctors and nurses will have no choice.
Just to make myself clear, I will be voting no to the disgusting, immoral, and evil Equality Act. It has nothing to do with stopping discrimination against the LGBT community. That could be done easily without this. It has everything to do with attacking God and believers.
The Equality Act has nothing to do with equality. It virtually destroys women's rights and religious freedom. How can anyone vote for this? https://tcogzb9xx8bpd.
Sazak, the biggest fake climate crisis profiteer, her job-killing economy destroying Green Deal will end us oil, natural gas and coal industries, the very fossil fuels that literally brought back electricity in Texas, unlike the failed green energy wind turbines. Thanks for the note, Gina. The schools should be reopened. Democrats are more interested in campaign contributions from union bosses than they are the students. https://tcowipkghcs6u. The Supreme Court refuses to hear a case about the American people's elections based on standing, not evidence. Who pays for elections? The people's taxes do, but the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's personal tax records can be handed over. Let that sink in.
Will Biden's pick for Merrick Garland hold these people accountable for inciting violence and anti-IFABLM domestic terrorism in American cities in 2020, or will he be weaponizing the boy against Trump and his supporters? BC, a few hundred attacked the Capitol. Garland hearing https://tcobYFXJX5Z.
I don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Iran has chanted death to America, death to Israel. Trump was right to end the JCPOA, but John Kerry actively worked behind America's back with Iran to devise a political strategy to undermine the Trump administration through meetings over the past few years long. These are certainly some very disturbing anti-American ties. ILHANM and https://tcoifbxhd9l.
Every single part of this response should disqualify Merrick Garland from being Attorney General of the United States of America.
Talk a little bit more about the law enforcement challenges at the border, which I know a number of other members have brought up with you. Just a fundamental question. Do you believe that illegal entry at America's border should remain a crime?
Well, I haven't thought about that question. I just haven't thought about that question. I think, the president has made clear that we are a country with the borders and with the concern about national security. I don't know of a proposal to decriminalize but still make it unlawful to enter. I just don't know the answer to that question. I haven't thought about it.
Will you continue to prosecute unlawful border crossings?
Well, this is again a question of allocation of resources. We will, the department will prevent unlawful crossing. I don't know. I have to admit, I just don't know exactly what the conditions are and how this is done. I think if I don't know what the current program even is with respect to this. I assume that the answer would be yes, but I don't know what the...
Hey Joe Biden, remember when you made all schools gun-free zones that year? My gun-free school went on lockdown. BC, another student wanted to kill people. Your gun-free school zones have killed kids at school, but you protect yourself with guards with guns. https://TCOMUGXG2KQLP.
Newsflash everyone, every single time a person kills another person they break the law. Joe Biden's strict gun control will not save a single life, he will cause more people to die. BC, they can't defend themselves, bad guys don't care about your gun control laws. Joe.
Many people are telling me that reporters are asking them questions about me prying into all areas of my life, even asking people I hardly know or who even know me at all. The media has a very serious obsession and obvious political agenda towards me now than Hunter Biden. This photo was taken in 1965 of an 18-week-old person. It shows in beautiful detail that the early life growing in a mother's womb is not a clump of cells, and abortion kills the most innocent of lives. Roe vs. Wade legalized abortion in America in 1973. We are without excuse. https://TCOH7WZN1BB9E.
Joe Biden is providing open schools with in-person teachers for illegal children at the expense of American taxpayers whose children have been forced to stay home and try to learn from a computer. Parents, you pay for all of this. When do you decide you have had enough? https://TCOKPSWRXAAIG.
Dr. Fossey Main, https://TCOHSUKBCNQRM.
Reopen our schools, reopen America.
An Alaska state trooper gave this to me on my flight today. Thank you so much for serving the people of Alaska. https://TCOWTKH1U. The Equality Act puts sexual and gender identity above all rights, and anyone who goes against it is considered discriminating. Does the Equality Act protect pedophiles? Would it protect Don Weavers from Project Lincoln Desire for underage boys?
I absolutely cannot wait to hear President Trump's speech at CPAC on Sunday. For all of you traitorinos, prepare for a reckoning. He is the leader of the Republican Party. https://TCOCGMXISJ1L4.
Twitter suspends the account of the ideal girlfriend for speaking the truth, but allows Delphine, who uses pornography to scam men and boys out of their money. Jews obviously control Twitter. They censor real freedom of speech while protecting pornography. https://TCORKAQSENU7R.
Is proud to have received the mark of the beast.
One MLB team can pay a Dominican who hasn't even hit 25 HRS in a year yet $340 million, and MLB finances 45 teams in Hispanic Haiti Dominican rep, ignoring Puerto Rico, whose people are us citizens, and where baseball is dying because it's cheaper to play in Dr. Their peso is worth 17 cents. https://TCO113ABQZH.
Puerto Rico only has 5 baseball teams on the island. Ponce, its second biggest city, doesn't even have a baseball team. Baseball is dying, and PRMLB would rather invest millions in the Dominican Republic because it's cheaper to do so. PRS cost of living is higher than most US cities. https://TCOOXPE4BQGMP.
Anthony DeComo, is he an albino?
Fire Fossey is trending. Unfortunately, the Zionist internet propaganda bots are putting leftist tweets calling people who tweet Fire Fossey clowns on the top, but the real clowns are the manipulated leftists who actually believe that they are the majority because of bots. Schwarzwald so's your name is in German, which means Black Forest, and you belong to a leftist centrist German political party, but no, I can't figure it out because I'm just another stupid American, right? Like I've never read about the Baden Revolution before or heard about Albert Einstein before.
It must be nice to be a leftist on Twitter and having free reign to say whatever you want without having to deal with censorship or shadow bans. The only drawback is that your entire ideology is based on Jewish lies and propaganda, and all your points are wrong and morally corrupt.
What did you think was going to happen when you take an experimental vaccine? Experimental vaccines have been horribly problematic. GlaxoSmithKline, Pfizer, Pandemrix, swine flu, narcolepsy, Mercurocil, sent many problems. https://tcoyzegpw9rz5.
Not to look proud, I'm sorry for being the reason why you came back, because no one needs to hear your amended BS version of history which hides the truth. You insult me, but you don't argue my point. One cannot truthfully explain a Spanish-American history while ignoring Masonry, so just stop. https://tcocumxtbmh8b.
2021 has turned into the year of the degenerate redhead. https://tco5itmsoid.
KENKANIFFCT123. Hey, back off Mikey Palmas. The Dodgers are ours. They are not getting past the Mets, and Bauer's shoulder blade is gonna be sore once Thor gets through with him.
Some 5 Schwarzwald so's name. He was born in Ulm, which is a city in the region of Baden. I'm talking about Baden, the region, not the town of Baden in Germany or the town region in Switzerland.
Anyone who does not believe in God is a degenerate liberal, even if they pretend not to be.
Christopher Columbus is about to get cancelled. https://tcohypgrh7qme.
Wasn't 4 years with the swamp and deep state being held accountable and fake news exposed daily, pure heaven. Biden and his family have received millions from questionable China deals, yet he spends only $1,000 on candles to show us how much he cares about 500,000 Americans killed by the China virus. It only shows what useless, corrupt, negligent idiot he is.
Harry Shearer isn't black. In other news, Ellen DeGeneres isn't a fish named Dory, and Leonardo DiCaprio didn't drown on the Titanic in 1912.
I love the corporate scam of companies like Amazon and Uber telling you to support small businesses by ordering from their apps, which are drowning small businesses with delivery fees. Want to support small businesses? Demand they be allowed to open at full capacity.
A year ago, common sense people like me were called conspiracy theorists when we warned it was never going to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve. The vaccine was not going to give you your freedoms back. The rich were transferring unlimited wealth and power to themselves.
I also warned a year ago they'd begin pushing for vaccine passports for us to return to normal, a tread toward a surveillance state, and that infection rates would magically plummet immediately after the election. I either had a crystal ball or this was all common sense.
The reason our media, which is propaganda for the elites, aggressively attacks Ron DeSantis' winning approach to COVID-19 is because it becomes harder to convince the rest of the country that totalitarian control is necessary for safety if Florida remains free and happy.
SWEIDA and MD. Everyone knows they are not as different. I doubt it is the whole story, and I use the platform to expose bullshit because people in your profession are not credible in 2021.
Compare my track record on medical questions to the experts, then circle back to me.
CMICHALWHITE2 that looks reasonable.
Sir Morris, note you got confused on the essential part that you hallucinated. The point is homeland security.
Sir Morris, an artist, I should have checked first.
NICOLEGACKSONNDLIBERELINTX. I like it that ignorance about me fuels your arrogance about your superiority on the facts. Good thinking. LIBERELINTX. And you hallucinated the part about me making any assumptions, missing my entire point. This is why you experts are worthless. You are experts on your own hallucinations.
Catcher, I treated it as a risk management question and was 100 right on the part 1 address. John School for 44, you're a marksman at missing the point.
SGT prep incorrect, I'm only a bad step parent. Sir Morrison, you may continue hallucinating that there is meaning to the things I don't mention that are also not relevant.
CMICHALWHITE2 doesn't answer the core question of why we only hear of other types of deaths of the same scale.
CMICHAELWHITA, not an estimate I would trust. I used to make those kinds of estimates for a living.
Perfect example of why you can't trust experts. I ask a reasonable question. The expert hallucinates. I am making a claim and criticizes her hallucination. This is the norm for expert discussion.
GBCHARLIE2 doesn't address the question of why the public hears of all the other death types as they happen to real people, overdoses, auto fatalities, etc., and not this one. CBOTHEGGMA, and you are hallucinating that literally.
But I know you can trust experts. That would be stupid, but you still have to make decisions. And reshrug, maybe the experts should consult with the experts.
Truth Super Low Rebecca Diamond DFREDMAN7.
Alyssa Courtney, like having the Senate have an impeachment trial about an attack on the Capitol.
If a bubble boy with no immune system leaves the bubble and immediately gets an infection and dies, is the cause of death the infection, or is it leaving the bubble and having no immune system? Discuss.
GENBG1 seems random. You need all the conditions to be present. Wes Deviers, I call it teaching people to be smarter. Don't be afraid of it.
Can someone do a fact check on the claim that healthy children die of seasonal flu? Is it more likely an underlying problem not detected?
When observation does not match science, smart people ask questions. I also wondered why I never heard of anyone eating before swimming and immediately dying of cramps.
Dismissing that's your hallucination. Try to find my point and circle back.
DFREDMAN7. If not having a functioning immune system is defined as healthy, then you have an excellent point. Nafeller1, or did the edge move?
Experts prove how worthless they are and the rest of the news. HTTPS/TCOG8X7RCG6RF.
Gravity is fake, which is reasonable.
Gravity is fake, correct.
3 Goosish, I don't make an argument, I only have a mystery.
Garrett's brain that challenges the definition of healthy. Every finance-cutting dude in front of it didn't make it a point.
Unwoke narrative. Jack Cernovich. How did this issue become conservative or liberal in the first place? That part is weird.
Gravity is fake. I'd say the definition is erroneous for this topic. Better definition of health would be ability to survive a normal environment that is not dangerous to 999 of people like you.
Jasmine Derrick-Lutz. Good misinterpretation of my opinion.
Derrick-Lutz, that's not true at all. The people with good reading and thinking skills are almost never confused by what I say.
Randajung, next question. Would you call the bubble boy healthy so long as he stayed in the bubble? Fact check true. Dasru Jefferson Jitson DFREDMAN7. You're an emergency room doctor.
What's the one best example of this?
More hallucinating experts. They imagine I am spreading misinformation by asking for clarification of an obvious mystery and demand I stop it.
CBOTHEGGGMANROBDJ71. Nothing like that is happening. I'm asking the same questions the medical community is asking.
CBOTHEGGMANROBDJ71. Oh, you are confusing your ignorance with my opinion.
Leg on travel to illusions to countries.
Jeffrey JSD, let's not bring your awareness into it.
Daniel Cupriel, fake news about science. CBOTHEGGMANROBDJ71. Your hallucinations are growing wildly now. Literally nothing like that is happening, not even close.
Daniel Cupriel, solid point for a society of magic people, but science for the public in our real world is always something someone said is true and often it isn't.
CBOTHEGGMANROBDJ71. Your question proves you are not up to the minimum mental ability for this topic.
Your first claim isn't true and your second claim requires a weasel definition of healthy experts.
More proof that the election was fair. Am I doing this right?
Ignoring the opinion of experts is the second dumbest thing a person can do.
CL Semstag, sounds like you have a context problem. Learn more about me and it will all make sense.
DFREDMAN7. Batman is 30. Having no functional immune system seems about time. We'll call it what you like.
DFREDMAN7. Batmantis 30. For context, I'm a cartoonist most famous for debunking experts in all kinds of fields. I know you like facts.
Easy peasy, course sounds like a practical joke.
It's official. You can't ask a question, some idiot will call it a claim.
Other side, did that make sense when you wrote it?
Benchlisman, that's the trap that anyone can predict what others are thinking in complex situations. We're wrong about 90 of the time.
SUFFICIENTLYWH1 Wizard predicts you aren't good at guessing.
In my book Loser Thing I write about doubling down as one of the more bankrupt things you can say on social media. I call it being right twice. Your attempt at shaming me into conformity isn't a variable in my world.
Great, now I have to worry about humanize my Sabitarde.
Bethanish Hondark, not the flu according to the story.
Bethanish Hondark, these cases are highly ambiguous, supporting my point.
These are all questions banned now or just the smart ones?
Kiss once in every finance there was a point there I only saw an observation about something unrelated.
Do we do autopsies on children who die with seasonal flu, or do we do election fraud math and conclude that because no underlying conditions were obvious they do not exist? Take a guess. Even if you are not an expert, what do you think is more likely?
Humanize my Trump taxes irrational doctors. Oh my, today on Coffee with Scott Adams at 10 a.m. at daily at https://tcosqcbpdywxz.
Trump taxes humanized mice, irrational doctors, and Fauci hatred. https://tcofensc6wpyh.
Westminster Wizard predicts bad mind reading note.
Favorite one Wizard predicts no one killed 500,000 Americans, different in too many ways.
Kenan, but sorry, read it wrong the first time. Just making the same point as me from a different angle, that there is mystery here.
Laura John, and yet you described it as such. When you are done debating yourself, let me know who won. Larry-Charlesism seems like an upgrade. I like some risk with my announcements.
Ambler Spowa, would it not be fair to say there was something non-standard about your child's immune system that made seasonal flu fatal when 999 of kids just had a bad week?
King Reese, you don't think understanding the cause of death more clearly could be useful down the road?
Dr. SCOTTK Lakewood are good context, but given that the few who die have something atypical about their immune responses, are we only debating the definition of healthy? A bubble boy is healthy inside the bubble.
Me gone for boot that on its own necessarily look at anything but the topic of interest, so they could miss anything they are not looking for. When someone has an allergic reaction to peanuts and dies, does the death certificate list the cause of death as peanuts? That person was perfectly healthy except for the introduction of the peanuts. For Slabranos, those people are dying while in perfect health, if I understand the medical profession correctly.
Hampton Stevens Sager 20 SC Appraiser MM 1776. Their resistance to the obvious is fun to watch. Hampton Stevens Minksman 74.
Kiswanson Error College 208. Every finance I would define healthy as having the ability to survive normal environment.
No, I'm making the opposite argument with COVID-19 observation matches the science. We observe lots of extra deaths as predicted with seasonal flu. Observation does not match science, and that is a mystery. Ask the doctor, the person with a 30-year successful track record of publicly calling out bullshit outside his field of expertise. All I've asked for is clarification as to why observation and science do not match with seasonal flu. Guess why the answers have been so weak.
Kiswanson Error College 208. Every finance now your weasel wording normal to somehow not include the experience of 999 of people who can beat a seasonal flu. What is normal if not 999?
George Hathaway, that is the mystery part. The mystery is why I've heard of lots of it and auto deaths, but never one case of normal flu death, yet the stats are similar. Observation does not match science.
I recommend my best-selling book Loser Think, which teaches people such as yourself how to think more productively. You'd find it helpful.
As long as you are hallucinating what my opinion is, can you also hallucinate that I read this information that doesn't address my questions?
I want a doctor who doesn't hallucinate my opinion and react to his own hallucination sarcastically. Where was the part in which I claim no infectious diseases can kill healthy people?
A lot of what we think is a difference in politics is really a difference in knowledge.
Jatra, why does it head inside for some but not others?
Mind reading and ignorance-based confidence are not a substitute for argument. My medical track record on foreign adverse recommendations is better than the WHO and the Surgeon General. That much is documented in public. They agree with me now.
Banana Imran, he says in Armed in his correcting comment.
This is what happens when an expert loses an argument with a non-expert in public. Cognitive dissonance kicks in and they start babbling about imaginary things.
Jatra, along architecture being non-standard in this context. The Machiavelli, they are remarkably consistent.
I feel as if a number of black humorists are emerging as leaders lately, filling some sort of void we didn't know we had. The path forward is taking ourselves way less seriously. Other side you.
Dogbert gets Greenland by Scott Adams https TCO3U via Dilbert Daily.
Wally's Best Idea by Scott Adams https TCO3BPCRHS9GH via Dilbert Daily. Tricking Employees by Scott Adams https TCOHVUUAORPKV via Dilbert Daily.
Alice Compliments Ted by Scott Adams https TCOSPTWUGY4so via Dilbert Daily.
Wally in the Big Picture by Scott Adams https TCOXMTXQJQ9Z via Dilbert Daily.
Simulation Nonsense by Scott Adams https TCODX650 via Dilbert Daily.
Saskia Popescu Emilersko he entered the conversation to share what he knows. I'm interested, it matters, we all see that you're morally superior peacock, so your work is done.
We've got Lendau Dave back with us today. No, not this Lendau https TCOBTBZTDOL5V.
What is your favorite thing about RONDASANTISFL? Would you like to see him run in 2024?
Name one thing Fosse likes more than being on television.
You and the president have suggested that we'll approach normality toward the end of the year. What does normal mean? Do you think Americans will still be wearing masks, for example, in 2022?
You know, I think it is possible that that's the case. And again, it really depends on what you mean by normality. If
right,
normality
that's what I want you to define
exactly the way it... No, Dana, it's important because if normality means exactly the way things were before we had this happen to us, I mean, I can't predict that. I mean, obviously, I think we're going to have a significant degree of normality beyond what the terrible burden that all of us have been through over the last year, that as we get into the fall and the winter, by the end of the year, I agree with the president completely that we will be approaching a degree of normality. It may or may not be precisely the way it was in November of 2019, but it'll be much, much better than what we're doing right now.
Why do you think Americans might have to wear masks into 2022?
You know, because it depends on the level of dynamics of virus that's in the community, and that's really important. Because that gets back to something, again, that you said. If you see the level coming down really, really very low, I want it to keep going down to a baseline that's so low that there's virtually no threat, or not no, it'll never be zero, but a minimal threat that you will be exposed to someone who is infected. So if you combine getting most of the people in the country vaccinated with getting the level of virus in the community very, very low, then I believe you're going to be able to say, you know, for the most part, we don't necessarily have to wear masks. But if we have a level of virus that is at that level that it was months and months ago, like 20,000 per day is a heck of a lot better than what it's been. But that's still very high level of virus in the community. I want to see it go way down. When it goes way down and the overwhelming majority of the people in the population are vaccinated, then I would feel comfortable in saying, you know, we need to pull back on the masks. We don't need to have masks.
I want to buy the world a Coke is the whitest commercial ever. https TCO7MBOVX44J9.
Also, something that we need to talk about really quickly. Coca-Cola. Did you see this? Coca-Cola, they have mandatory employee training now, and their mandatory video was including a recommendation on how to be less white.
It said that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for real.
Which is impossible. I've been trying it. Doesn't work.
It's very difficult.
Very hard.
Which is crazy for a company that puts vanilla in everything.
And possibly I want to buy the world of Coke as the whitest commercial ever.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, we could start with water. I want to buy the world of Coke. Build a well.
They also got Cosby to have a Coke and a smile.
Wait, did Cosby?
I think it was Cosby had a Coke.
I thought he did Pepsi. No?
Did he? I know Van Halen did Crystal Pepsi. They were like, we don't want anything dark at all.
Right, yeah.
Here we go.
Easy to say if you've never worked for a business.
Large businesses like Amazon and McDonald's, for example, can and perhaps should pay more. But I'm wondering, what is your plan for smaller businesses? How does this, in your view, affect mom and pop businesses who are just struggling to keep their doors open, keep workers on the payroll right now?
Well, they shouldn't be doing it by paying people low wages. We don't want low-wage businesses. I think most successful small businesses can pay a fair wage. If you look at the minimum wage, it increased with worker productivity until 1968, and that relationship was severed. If workers were actually getting paid for the value they were creating, it would be up to $23. So I love small businesses. I'm all for it. But I don't want small businesses that are underpaying employees. It's fair for people to be making what they're producing, and I think $15 is very reasonable in this country.
You're also...
Every Republican should take notes from Ron DeSantis https://TCOP001BTSG4S.
Governor, what has gone wrong with the rollout of the vaccine that we've seen phone lines jammed, websites crashing?
It's a lot of demand. I mean, I think at the end of the day, excuse me.
If I could finish my question.
You just said what has gone wrong, so I'm answering the question.
If I could complete the question, though.
So you're going to give a speech or you're going to ask a question?
With all due respect, Governor,
you asked the question, I'm going to answer it.
I'm trying to finish my question.
No, you're giving a speech. You asked the question.
I am trying to ask you the...
You're going to ask how many questions? You get 3? They only got 1 question. Why do you get 3?
The minimum wage hike and the billions that teachers' unions are shaking you down for, how is that to start? Okay, big tech wants to play today. I present dozens of non-existent voter addresses that I've verified myself from Michigan to Nevada, empty lots, etc. It'll include pictures and a current newspaper as confirmation. It goes down today 10 a.m. at
QOTD. What do you think is the most convincing evidence of voter fraud in 2020?
South Africa woman attacks and kills a giraffe on Valentine's Day, poses with its heart. https://TCOA9R4UO74 https://TCOWJVHWOXLF9.
Fan for 12. I apologize if I made any wrong assumptions about you. Saluting the warmongering hack Scott Pelley for his propaganda piece on Syria on behalf of the US war machine and Islamic terrorist forces. Felt very proud to me. I take back house Asian thing. Have a great day, sir.
The Saves well said, the world is a dangerous place with hostile militaries operating in close proximity in many places in Syria. Russian fighter jet flying underneath and monitoring the flight of a Reaper armed drone of American military. https://TCOY7JBBYZLRT.
Big Tone 1988 60 Minutes. You are right.
Max Abrams, a Twitter employee, has told me that the complainant was a balding German guy associated with a gutter tabloid, and the complaint was sent from a CIA safe house. CC Julian Rowe, https://TCO4W4P1WKZSU.
SAE1I. It's not about governments or English language, it's about communicating with people of the world.
SA1I. OK genius. The cameraman https://TCOH8F7JEIRCW.
E a 150 metri dall'arrivo, Melangeni ancora in testa, gli sta incollato Alfonso, Zolani lo incalza, ecco l'indirittura, Melangeni non molla, ma che succede? Quello è Franco, il nostro cameraman, e vai Franco vai, ha corso tutta la gara con la telecamera in spalla, è incredibile! Melangeni avrà l'oro, ma il cameraman che passerà alla storia!
Non credere ai tuoi occhi.
Even some lefties are starting to think that Bill Gates is not a good guy. Watch https://TCO1MARL0XHN. One situation of Christians worldwide. There are many powerful people of Armenian origin in West, but they don't care about their community. During recent Nagorno-Karabakh war, builder Frogkim Kadashian was Armenians' only hope to raise awareness about their plight. Pathetic. https://TCOAGAJXH4H4B. 22. You would think a community that has gone through genocide would be organized, but no. From Armenia to Artsakh and from west to Mediterranean, Armenian Christians are disorganized and their leadership is corrupt, despite the fact that their enemies keep getting stronger. https://TCOWATW1SMB4Q. More than Finium. I too don't want to post lewd photos, but the purpose was to highlight the ridiculousness of depending on a porn actress like her.
No, Indian, he just ditched the filming name to win the race. Lol. SS Caliph's buddy John McCain is trending again. Can this sick man leave us alone now?
Trump was right about John McCain's incompetence. He was a very bad pilot, so in Vietnam he was always sent to bomb the softest targets with least danger. Still on a mission to bomb a build-making factory, the idiot got shot down by a teenager with a faulty anti-aircraft gun.
Dad for Mel, but what's factually wrong with that? DKSXEPIKKK Liz 4149. What? Deception is the religious belief of Islamists. Watch Turkey's interior minister say that Turkey is in clash with the West and that his boss Islamist terrorist dictator Erdogan has pursued stealthy policies for his long-term goals without letting others notice his real agenda. https://tcouz4n2vmfyr.
A reminder from 2019: never trust the governments, never trust the media. How BBC depicted stage hospital scenes as proof of Syria chemical attack. https://tcoywrbtfzbmz.
Look at the DP of this creep.
McKay 46 34 55 53.
Keith Olbermann. Keith, was this the Russian conspiracy? KATYTURNBC https://tcouglvheqvqq.
BA Nanoki House Asian.
They are on a continuous hunt, a continuous purge.
Self-righteousness is a disease. Once we get it, we start hating the people who we think are bad. We shut the door for any dialogue. At that stage, we stop self-accountability because the feeling of moral superiority overwhelms us. Alina Duan, thanks madam for continuously telling the truth despite the vicious attacks. Jerome, in fact, Iran has already burnt Saudi Arabia, Israel, Qatar, etc. to ground. Lol, which world you guys live in? Well, we all know which world. MLRS world.
Nakam1, who are these experts? Elijah Magnier AnnCoulter. Russia has no intention to confront Israelis. Stop spreading fake news.
Snarbani Caucus. Saudi Arabia and Iran were using diplomacy to resolve their mutual issues. Americans were on their way out of the Middle East. Erdogan had no imperialist ambitions. You are funny.
Latest Russia Gate.
Asani 221. Your take is based upon the assumption that they have organized themselves. In reality, they have been organized by Western intelligence services. Yes, in the short term they will remain powerful, but if and when their puppet masters withdraw support, they'll become very weak.
One extremely important issue in recent years, any discussion about which the Western governments and media have successfully suppressed, is the total failure of the MERS at Western intelligence agencies to predict Russia's huge military intervention in the Syrian war in 2015. https://tco5hb10ppkzb. To keep such a huge military decision in the preparations of the operation secret was a major success for Russians and Syrians.
Surprised to see quite a few people on my timeline praise the Zionist shill Tommy Robinson. Here he is on top of an Israeli tank during a pathetic faux shoot. https://tcoejg0qbqfsq.
All the nations spending billions on space programs are morally bankrupt. Have you resolved all of the economic issues of your people that you want to go to space? Even a country like India has a space program to conquer Moon, Mars, and God knows what. https://tcou6svco2egi. Sarali 1 Max Abrams, you once had a little bit of shame and you just a little bit of humanity even while working for the imperialist Qatar Human Rights Watch, but that has disappeared now. It seems to be Qatari funding for your current operation. Don, why doesn't your website list your funders? https://tcorpzoc4qzkt.
Imperialism's soft touch. Notice that most of pro-war operations in media, think tanks, other NGOs are assigned to women.
A woman is always a great recruiting sergeant for war.
But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 1557. A woman is always a great recruiting sergeant for war. Don't believe me? Example: have a look at Twitter accounts of pro-war women and pro-war fake accounts with female DP run by intelligence agencies. See how many simps swarm them and spread their message via retweets, likes. Do you still believe the system is not fixed? Do you still believe the mainstream media doesn't have an agenda? Ilhan Omar's daughter is already being promoted as an icon.
Normal public figures fight tooth and nail to keep their young children away from public spotlight. Only the selfish narcissistic maniacs with agendas drag and promote their children for public consumption.
And it's not confined to Ilhan Omar. Have a look at Kardashians, Madonnas, Clintons, Obamas, Trumps, etc. See how the world explodes if Hawk ever has a baby.
Marcus Vocicero and this consul wishes she had done this vulgar publicity stunt in Asa province instead of Bali. In that case, this degenerate Russian would have received thousands of lashes on her bottom, as Asa has got Sharia laws. This is an unnecessary act to provoke locals. USA father wanted for shooting 8-month-old baby in the head. Warning: do not post any negative comment about him or you will be declared racist. https://TCOSUA3KHH7die.
USA Oklahoma man accused of cutting neighbor's heart out, feeding it to his family. Warning: if you criticize him you are racist. https://TCOOVUZMY2SDO.
Trump could have done something about these corrupt social media companies, but he was too busy doing Israel lobby's dirty work and enriching the billionaires. Then karma happened. He himself got banned and started crying. They are banning anyone and everyone on fake charges.
Still trust the plan, lol.
Still trust the plan.
Pastor Rick Wiles for president. https://TCOT8die22WNK0.
There needs to be a populist movement in this country. Let's break up the tech companies. Let's take the billions. I want to take Bill Gates' billions and give it to the poor. I want to give it to the poor. I want to strip them, completely strip them and give it to the poor. I want Jack Dorsey's money. I want Zuckerberg's money. I want to give it to the poor. I don't want to give it to the government. Oh my gosh. Tax them and the government get it. No, give it to the poor. Let's take their money and give it to the poor. Let's bust up their corporations. This country would change overnight. I might run in 2024. I might run on that platform. Take the money from the rich, give it to the poor. That might be my platform in 2024.
It's a giving hood.
Yes. I'm gonna bust up the tech companies. I'm gonna take the money from the billionaires, give it to the poor. I might run in 2024 with that platform.
Marcus Vocicero: I got the title through rigging.
The video of Biden saying he was arrested for once breaking into the Capitol was doctored, but Joe Biden is still a criminal who needs to be arrested, impeached, and removed from office. No one wanted him or Kamala in office.
Trigger 247 Benny Johnson: you were right, the left can't meme.
If you had a chance to say one thing to Joe Biden right now, what would you say?